I dressed for the fall. I'm definitely regretting that. Thank you, Michelle and David. For anyone who's been involved in a literary magazine, it's an act of generosity, courage, and insanity. So thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to have another forum for our work to be heard. In the essence of time, I'm just going to read 2 quick poems and then a little something else. This is called Reservoir, and it is sort of one of those ripped from the headline poems that kind of captures the moment in which I couldn't not look at something in my life anymore. Reservoir. The morning you almost died, I woke to find your madness at the foot of our bed. Sitting in the space your legs made with their crisscross, scrawled on the pages that kept you up all night. Look, you said, fanning the pages over and over and over again. I filled this with a story of us. Then you crawled to me and said, as if you were talking about which shirt you wanted to wear, I should drive off the road on my way to work. I shook you off and said, as this was the first time your mania and I were making acquaintance, don't be silly. I need to get the girls ready for school. So I roused them and fixed Cheerios and waffles and eggs, and you didn't say goodbye when you left the house. As I cut through the flesh of a ripe banana, I saw you, driving faster and faster along that road by the reservoir where we would sometimes walk, the 4 of us, where you skipped stones for our girls to their delight, the ripple extending out, growing wider and wider, then gone. I grabbed the phone to call you, to stop you, whispers between each ring, the trees beckoning, and you answered on the last one. This poem is from a collection I'm working on called Dead Women, and it's an uplifting collection. It's about women that I knew or knew of who came to violent ends by their own hand or someone else's within an area of the Northeast that I was living in. This is for a woman named Lisa Mecham, who actually lived in the town I lived in Connecticut, and one morning she got up and got her son to work and then lit herself on fire in the Little League town in the middle of in the park in the middle of our town, and I've never stopped thinking about her, so this is for her. And it's called This Bountiful Weaning. A baby can cry all night, her mother saying she must learn not to want so much. Tiny arms flailing like a hungry bird, she longs for the one who deprives her. Years later, summer night, how boys watch girls, their eyes, how they always fall upon the center of a circle. She says, look what I can do, as she contorts her arms, shoulder blades poking as if she had wings. They laugh, mouths to ears, the whoosh of air when a secret is passed. Tell me, she cries, as they tie her to a tree so she can't fly away. How does one say, enough? Marriage, its blind bargain, all the men and little children they must be fed. And that morning, the barnyard smell of uneaten eggs, the lack of small gestures, except for the man smiling as he fills her bright red gasoline can. And on bended knees, as she drenches her body and strikes the match, as angels lift shovels and skin sizzles upon the ground, all she can see is her mother's back, the closing door. That's for Lisa. This last bit is a tiny little bit from a book that I'm working on that I initially called a novel, and then I called a book, and now I'm calling it what it is, which is a memoir. So it's a tiny little section from that. Shout out to the former Mormon in the room, little backbone. Growing up, there were no safe spaces in my childhood home. We all liked to poke around where we didn't belong. Once in our basement, I found a box of pink plastic packages with what looked like lingerie inside. I was a teenager, way too old to be snooping, but I pilfered one anyway and hid it between the mattresses in my bedroom. That night, I pulled the package out. There was no writing on it, just oddly a simple drawing of a church. I ripped it open and pulled out two separate pieces, a sheer white cap-sleeved top and what looked like a pair of bloomers. I rubbed the material between my fingers, so soft. I'd never touched lingerie before. I took my pajamas off and put the outfit on. In the mirror, I didn't look particularly sexy, more like Laura Ingalls in Little House on the Prairie. On closer inspection, I noticed markings stitched into the top, a small square on my right breast, a small V on my left, and a zigzag where my belly button was, and another over the right knee. Then, in bed, running my fingers over the silky material, the raised, stitched symbols between my legs. The next morning, I woke in horror, thick, wet warmth, my period. I had to get ready for school, so I stashed the lingerie, its crotch-soaked red under my bed, way under my bed, in the farthest corner, close to the wall. After school, I went to my best friend's house to hang out. My mom came to pick me up, and I could tell by the way she drove the car with jerky stops and starts that she was really upset, furious and scared all at once. She said, "I found it under your bed." The space in the car shrank, pushed up against my body. I wanted out, her voice shaking. "The Mormon underwear, where did you get it?" Mormon underwear, I'd never heard of that before. Suddenly my shame had something to latch onto. Mormon underwear, the dead red crotch. I turned to the passenger window, watching familiar neighborhood landmarks go past, willing the car to get us home faster. Her voice shrill, "Who gave it to you?" I was crying, talking fast. "I found it in the basement, I'm sorry." My mom was crying now too. "Don't you ever touch that again, ever." "I won't, I won't, I won't." We made it home without another word, and we never talked about it again. Not the snooping, not the underwear, somehow, not the blood. Not to spare me from further shame or humiliation, but to say this internment is how we deal with things. My parents' Mormon underwear was stashed in our basement because they had recently left the church. A decision that severed the relationship with their families, generations of devout followers. A decision that was never fully explained to my siblings and me, all of it stuffed away. And on that day, when my mom went into my bedroom, got down on the floor on her belly and lifted up the bed skirt, slithered deep into the dark corner under my mattress. In finding that bloodied sacred garment blessed by the church she had forsaken, I don't know what she was looking for, but I know what she found. When you bury things alive, they turn into demons. Thank you.